Tonight, I want to talk about some of the different tools that I use when I work on Scratchboard or with Scratchboard. Trial that I've discovered through trial and error that seem to work really well for creating wildlife portraits that I like to do. So let's dive into it. I hope this is helpful. So first and foremost, we need a great surface, right? So I like the Ampersand brand Scratchbord, B-O-R-D. This is your artist grade Scratchboard. It's a 1/8 of an inch thick panel. This is 5x5 size. This is a 3-pack, so it looks a little thicker, but they're an 1/8 of an inch thick each. And it's a white clay that's ground down and packed onto this panel and then coated evenly with black India ink. They say it's seal finished artwork, so you don't really get fingerprints on it. It's pretty cool. You don't actually have to frame this under glass either. I usually spray mine with a varnish at the end, especially if I use any kind of color on top or inks, just to really seal everything, and it looks really nice. However, you don't have to put it under glass, so that's great. So that's our surface. All right, now in my hand, there's some of my favorite tools to use with Scratchboard. So when I'm getting the softer texture that we're seeing kind of here with the fur, it's creating more of that base layer, really, because when you're scratching, you're creating multiple layers to get the texture. So this isn't going to all happen in one layer, right? This is going to be several layers before I'm finished. And that base layer I really like to create with the fiberglass, ooh, that was close, fiberglass brush. The fiberglass brush pulls out larger areas with a softer look. I can really control that based on my pressure, the angle that you hold the fiberglass brush in. This is a smaller end. They do have ones that have a larger end. Ampersand's Scratch Toolkit comes with one that's a little larger at the end. I just favor the smaller one. I feel like I have more control. And I have to push a little harder with the larger one to really get to lift, whereas I don't have to do as much pressure. So now you're going to see the next must-have. When you're working with fiberglass, you don't really want to use your hand to brush with this anyway, anything away, because it's messy. I've already got kind of some black on my hand here. But you want a nice soft bristle brush. You could even use a makeup brush if you wanted. This is a painter's brush, but you just to pull away that ink. If you don't want a coarse brush because it can leave marks, anything coarse. The other thing that I also like to have on hand is a microfiber towel. I have some smaller ones, or you can have bigger ones and cut them down. I will use these to wipe away ink, dust, because sometimes that's important to do frequently as you work, because you may not realize how light you've made an area or how much ink you've lifted until you wipe that away, and you'll realize, oh, because there was ink dust sitting there, it made it look darker than it was. So important to wipe away often. Another tool I really like for clearing larger areas is an emery board or even sandpaper. I have lots of different sandpaper grits. This one is just a standard emery board. I bought a pack of them, cut them into shapes that I like, and you can get some good control with that and clear away a larger area. Okay, I'm gonna wipe that. This is a microblade. They use this for doing eyebrows, I think. Someone has to tell me how that works. I don't know. But it's like the itty bitty needles on the end here. I also have various tattoo needles that work great for finer detail. But this is really gonna be creating very, very fine lines. I use them a lot, this tool a lot when I'm working on the eyes or an area that's very subtly lighter than the rest, but I don't want it to be too brushed out or pulled out. This is gonna make it a nice, even, soft looking area. Okay. Some of this might be hard to see, I understand, but you can zoom in or something. This is gonna be nice and soft and subtle. Must have for hair detail, any kind of blade. This is a ceramic blade I really like. I feel like it works really well. It's from a brand called Slice. They have different size blades, which I will show you. Okay, so this is the craft blade. You see the number there, 10519. This is that company, but I really like these. I've tried, they make a bunch of different blades in different sizes, different things. This one I think is my favorite so far with the Scratchbord. This is going to help make those really fine details. So after I've kind of maybe done a layer, maybe even two-ish, using some of those other tools that I just showed you, I will come in over that, making these finer lines of details. So let's see if I can find a good area to show. Oh my gosh, you hear Emma snoring? I just, wow. So this is gonna help us get those nice controlled direction, because even if I make kind of the same direction with the initial laydown, I can get that really textured and changed up using this tool. And I'm constantly going to be looking at my reference to the side to see which way this hair is laying. I have seen people use just a blade tool like this, an X-Acto knife. I have several of those, over an entire piece, using different scratch techniques, line techniques. I've never done an entire piece just with one tool. Maybe that'd be a fun challenge to try someday, but maybe not, because I feel like I can achieve what I'm trying to do with having a variety of tools at my disposal. And I hope you could even, I didn't know if you could even see all that. That's lame. But anyway, you can see this really allows for some fine lines and control of that direction. So must have is a good, if you can't, don't want to spend the money on the slice tool, I mean, you can just get any cheap, this is X-Acto brand. I wanted this because this has a nice grip on it, but you can, any X-Acto type blade is gonna work. Something about that ceramic blade though just seems to lift differently and doesn't dull as quickly. But this is gonna work too. This is gonna work just fine. And really anything, try different tools. Anything that you can create a scratch or a mark with is something you can use. So, I mean, I have lots of different tools, things I like to try. These are just some of my favorites. This is another one, came with my scratch kit from Ampersand. They have this sales scratch tool kit. These little, they're nibs, metal nibs, kind of different shapes and sizes. These work well too. You think they would all kind of just work the same, but they really don't. I think it's because of the way you end up holding them, the way the blade's angled, the way the pressure that you're able to apply. Each one just seems to do something a little different. So I kind of just try them all until I find what I'm looking for. I also keep a little vacuum on hand to suck up the dust every once in a while as it starts to get messy. But those are some of my favorite tools. I know this ended up being long. If you stuck through, then great. But have a great evening and happy scratching.